Can Australia sweep England? Is that something that the Aussies maybe are a little bit cautious with heading into this one, with no clear guy kind of taking ownership of that spot?
Like I said, I want a guy that's in form, that's putting up runs.
You have Bison ball instead of Bazball and get him in opening and just go T20 mode for the Ashes. But
if you like cricket, you're spoiled for choice here, Adam. Hello and welcome back to Ahead of the Game Sports Chat with Sports Pez Jez. There, Tuck Sports takes here. I'm used to pointing to you at that end.
I'm used to going, oh.
And we also have our main man, Adam Cusworth from bets.com.au. Well, we're all from bets.com.au, but cricket AFL season done. Boys, it's time for cricket. Summer of cricket is on the doorstep. Adam, we're bringing you into this one as well. You proved your worth in the AFL, and now we need you to help us through cricket.
Yeah, good predictions with the AFL final series. Hopefully we can continue that in the cricket season. Looking forward to the Ashes. Going to be huge. Last 2023, so many storylines to come out of it. So bring it on. Can't wait. But obviously there's one days and T20 as well.
Yeah, it's pretty jam-packed now. From sort of now, I guess, with the New Zealand series being wrapped up. India named their team yesterday. So there's that whole series, one-day international series, T20. Then it's Big Bash, Ashes. It's cricket season now. It's exciting.
It's going to be very exciting. And one of the biggest things, as we've already mentioned, the Ashes is on the Australian soil again. Boys, the biggest question, can Australia sweep England?
It's huge. It's a huge question. Massive. But I think it's a fair question because you're sort of looking at the early news. It is only early, we're in the start of October now. Ashes, starting middle of December, somewhere there, start of December. And it's what's come out of the England camp? I love it. I feel nervous for them, which is the best thing when you're looking at this Ashes series. They've got a whole bunch of players. Only 11 of 16 players have never played in Australia before, so that's massive. It feels like they're struggling a little bit with depth and their lineup and their bowling attack. They've got injuries. It's the best way for an Aussie cricket supporter to go into the Ashes. And I think it's a fair question. You look what we did to India last year. India were in great form. We lost in Perth, and then it wasn't comfortable, but we swept the rest of the series. So I think it's fair to say, the Australian Test cricket team is in good form. We'll talk about a few little kinks a little bit later on, but I think it's fair to say that there is a good chance here that we sweep England and absolutely pull their pants down in this Ashes. And I would love to see it. Is there anything better in the sporting world than smashing England?
Oh, Adam, maybe you can attest to that. Is there anything better in the cricketing world than smashing England?
There's not. There's not. And just all the fun that goes with it, the banter and taking the piss out of the Poms, it's great. So the last three Ashes series in Australia, 4-0, 4-0 and 5-0. And those losses to England, they weren't close ones. They were big ones, like innings defeats, big run margins, 10-wicket margins, absolutely own them. The draws they had, I think they got out of jail in one of them, rain in Sydney, they were 9 down. The other one was a bit of a flat track. So that record alone, Australia should head in pretty confident. The big difference this time around is Bazball. So the first Bazball series in Australia, a new look for England. They're brought in some faster bowlers, some hard-hitting batters. So the big question is, will Bazball make a difference? Remains to be seen, but I reckon we will sweep them. Maybe not a clean sweep, not a 5-0, maybe a 4-1. But, yeah, pretty confident.
Adam, there's been some contention around the top order of the Australian batting lineup, and it's been a while since the first man in has made some serious inroads in terms of runs. Is that something that the Aussies maybe are a little bit cautious with heading into this one, with no clear guy kind of taking ownership of that spot?
Yeah, the batting order is a bit sketchy. A series in the West Indies didn't help. There's the dynamite pitches where couldn't really get above 200. So our batting order is a bit sketchy. And the new look England bowlers, I think if England are a chance, they need to stay fit. So Wood and Archer to be fit for the whole series. Just with their history, there's a few little question marks around that. Their spinning options are a bit suspect. Not sure they're going to cause too many concerns for the Aussies. So whoever's in there, the Sheffield Shield obviously coming up, we'll talk about selection later. Whoever's in there, I think, as long as we've got some players in form coming out of the Shield, I think we'll be able to survive that sort of sketchiness we've showed over the last year or so. But if you get off to a slow start, lose that first test and pressure goes on the Aussies, then it opens it right up. But, yeah, like the past history I spoke about, I reckon we can head in pretty confident, even though we're not sort of showing it and it is a bit sketchy. I reckon we can do it.
Now, Jez, I'm going to kind of almost throw you under the bus with this question because you weren't prepared for it. But
it's what you do best, mate. It's what you do best.
I think you maybe have enough in your skull to get this one.
Hopefully.
But venues play quite a large role in determining outcomes in cricket. And the Australian test venues are world class and the Aussies perform well.
Yeah.
Which of these tests possibly maybe, could you say, not suit England better, but from a standpoint, okay, where could we maybe see an upset? Could it be at the MCG, or are we looking at one of the other tests? If it's the final test, where maybe Australia's
nothing matters and it's already wrapped up.
Exactly.
Hopefully. Yeah, I don't know, obviously coming in when they don't have a real strength in their spin bowling. So I think you could be looking at a fast track like in Perth, was sort of where India took advantage last year, where they beat us. So I think certainly a wicket that's not that's going to be not as dry, better for the fast bowlers. So that's also can depend in Australia. It all depends on the weather, and it depends on how the pitch is at each venue during this first part of the summer. So I think if they get on a wicket that's got a bit of grass on it, I think that's where they can be a little bit more of a danger. Because like Adam said, like we've got the depth in our bowling side to adjust to no matter what the conditions are and whatever the pitch is. But maybe obviously the touring team doesn't have that same flexibility. And we know with the depth of England's bowling and the attack that they have at the moment, they are very fast bowler heavy. And it's going to be a wicket that plays 5 days with fast bowlers and isn't going to open things up for the spinners, because I think that's when we can sort of really take over, and it's not going to matter so much what sort of attack that they bring, because we'll be able to take care of their batsmen with ease.
And to that point, the first test is on the 21st to 25th of November in Perth. The second test at the Gabba, the 4th to the 8th of December. And then you have the third test, which runs right up until Christmas, the 17th to the 21st at the Adelaide Oval. Before my schedule runs out here, I guess it's then the Boxing Day test in Melbourne. Yeah. And then the
could be all
test,
over by then. A bit of a dud, really, if we go 3-0 up before the Boxing Day test at the MCG.
Yeah. And Sydney, 5th test. Yeah, that's a tough one. Like, the Gabba's been a fortress for Australia. We lost to the West Indies a couple of years ago, which was the first time in decades. And Perth's been pretty strong as well. We lost to India last year. And the pink ball test is at the Gabba this year. I think if a pitch is going to suit the bowlers, I reckon Australia's got the better bowlers. It's probably going to suit Australia even more. So interesting with Bazball and the run rate that they're going to have. So they went at nearly 5 and over against Australia in the last series. That could throw up something new. But just it seems like they're all in, and if it doesn't work and they flunk in that first game, then it could be a long and enjoyable summer for us Aussie fans as well if they struggle early. So really interested to see what happens there.
Anybody watching, throw your predictions in the comments about how you think this Ashes test or Ashes series could play out. Guys, let's look a bit further into the summer of cricket, the spotlight, as we call it here, and the storylines that may shape this summer. First of all, Jez, how important is this one-day series coming up against India? are Australia going to use this to kind of manage players and work them into form ahead of the Ashes, or is it just something that's there to keep everyone else happy?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I still, obviously covering the cricket at bets.com.au for a while, going sort of in depth there a few years ago, say 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, it felt like we just played India the whole summer. And I just sort of got like drained from it. And I can't be the only one. Yes, you go into more depth, obviously, when we're working with it and breaking things down, but it feels like that's one part of why it's lost its buzz. But it feels, obviously, this whole summer is just about the Ashes at home. So I think that makes it a massive difference coming into this series. But to answer your question about how important is it, I think it's always important when we play India. We're fighting for rankings. We want to be the best test team. They've been setting the benchmark for a long while now. And like, they're always important. You're always going to get up for it. And this is a one-day international series, T20 series. We always want to beat India. But I think we are definitely going to use it to help give us a better idea of what sort of squad and how we're going to play the Ashes in Australia, because there is these selection questions. You mentioned it earlier about our opening batsmen, and that's playing a big part in how they're going to be used in this series, especially the one-day series against India. And then also the Sheffield Shield and how their form goes at Test cricket. So I think it is really tough, because there is some good storylines or a lot of different ways where you're looking at, say, Labuschagne and even Khawaja and how they've been starting, and then Costas. Like, you've got this problem that we have had over the last few years of finding this concrete opening partnership and getting form and getting guys in form to play against India. I think is extremely important for Australia. We've been struggling with this decision with the selectors of taking guys that we should be giving a shot to, taking guys that are in form, taking guys that it's like their turn, or guy being loyal to certain people. I think now's the time where we use the opportunities we have with the Sheffield Shield and the one-day international series and pick the guy that's in form in Australia. So I think that's what we should be looking at, and I think we'll be having a close eye on the India series and the Sheffield Shield coming into the Ashes. But it's all about the Ashes. It's not about this series against India. Like, it's okay if we lose as long as we sweep in England. Really.
And Adam, the kind of the point that Jez is getting to there is just around how the scheduling of cricket all kind of melts together. And over the past few years, there's been so much cricket being played for this select group of top-level players. You come into a one-day series now against, a really good team like India, where in any other year, this would be a massive series with one of the best nations in cricket coming to our country to play. But now you got the Ashes right, around the corner from that. You can't really market this in the same way. India have also been playing a truckload of cricket. They're resting Jasprit Bumrah, their best bowler that they've seen for years. How does this series kind of look from your perspective as a cricket fan, and in the perspective of just being part of this massive schedule of cricket all year round almost?
Yeah, it's a tough one to answer. Like, I think of the bigger picture stuff, and I reckon there's too much cricket. Like, where does one-day cricket fit in? T20's taken over all the leagues that have popped up, international T20 as well. So there's big sort of question marks over ODIs, but they still keep playing it. Back up what Jez said too, it is still important, but it is all about the Ashes as well. Australia will be taking it seriously because India is like the benchmark. They're the number one side in the world. If we play some players like Labuschagne, for example, Green, these guys were in the squad last time we had one-day internationals. It'll just give that sort of, harder edge type game against the number one side in the world rather than the Sheffield Shield side. So they want that pressure in the middle, whether it's bowling or batting. That's important. Like, it's important to win the series against India, but it's also important from an Ashes perspective as well. So, like Cam Green, for example, he's coming back from his bowling. I think he's bowled 8 overs in the Sheffield Shield game. He can have some time in the middle against India as well. And Labuschagne's coming back into form, so probably a bit of both. It's important, but it is with a view to the Ashes in mind as well. And the Aussies, can audition some players as well, like not just, I mentioned Labuschagne before, but guys like Abbott, Jason Sanger from South Australia, Abbott, sorry, I already said Abbott, but those sorts of players, that will add depth to the squad. Hardy was the other one I was thinking of as well. He's another player that could get a bit of time against India in the middle too.
And Jez, how important is it then, as kind of you both now have alluded to, these practice, froze up a bit there, but we'll keep going on. These practice games to get some runs and some overs into our batters, because as we kind of said at the start of this show, there's still no clear, like ever since David Warner finished up, there's been no clear hierarchy at the top order of the Australian batting lineup, really in any format. No. I would say. You've got guys like Adam said there, Khawaja, Labuschagne, Green, Smith, Head. There's so many guys, Costas. Yeah. I've been kind of not a detractor, but I've asked the question a few times, how long are they going to stick out with Labuschagne at the top level with not producing runs?
Yeah.
But then he comes out and scores 160 for, for the Bulls in Sheffield Shield. Like, how do you approach this as a selector with the spate of cricket you have in front of you with the eye to the Ashes?
Yeah, I think this is the biggest question that we have coming in. I think we're pretty settled on the bowling front of who our guys are, and they're making priorities with how much they're playing in all the different series, and we know exactly sort of where we sit there. But it is all about the batting order, and like you said, I think the big errors of Australian cricket, the best teams we've ever had, we've always had a very settled sort of top three. You know exactly who's coming in, and there's no ifs or buts about it. That's the concrete top three. So I think it's very important that we find it soon, because we've been fumbling and bumbling with it a little while. And like Labuschagne now, after sort of his poor form last year, feels like he's been bumped now, and they want to sort of stick with Green now that he has recovered. But I think it's a fitness thing for him, and I think we're going to see, obviously, we want him as an all-rounder. We want him there, but we want sort of Khawaja and Costas, I think, to be that opening partnership. And I think we just got to stick with that, I think, through the whole summer when it comes to Test cricket.
Well, when do you make the call on Costas?
I think you have to make it sort of now, though, don't you? Like,
Adam, what do you think? Do you make it now, or do you give him a chance to play a little bit more cricket over the next month or month and a half?
I'm making the call on Costas. I reckon keep him in the Sheffield Shield for a while, let him develop a bit more. He was exciting last year against India, unbelievable innings at Boxing Day, but just not quite sold on him just yet. And I reckon the first 4 rounds of Sheffield Shield is going to be the best guide, and he's failed on a tough pitch in Perth in his 2 innings so far. But in terms of the order, I reckon it's starting to shape okay. So Khawaja, one opener, and the other opening spot is up for grabs. Green, happy with him at 3, Smith at 4, Head at 5, and probably Webster at 6. So that second opening option, leave it to the Sheffield Shield. Labuschagne, he's worked on his technique in the West Indies. He didn't play, but apparently he was one of the best players in the practice sessions. He's come out, made big runs in the first Queensland one-dayer, and then he's made 160 in their Sheffield Shield game. So at the moment, I reckon he might be slightly in front. Hopefully he's back when he's up and firing, great player. So, see what happens over the next 4 weeks. I reckon it's a bit frustrating that we haven't had that settled top 3, but I think it's starting to take shape for this series. Looking beyond that, though, you've got Khawaja, who's probably close to retirement, so there's going to be a couple of changes going forward. But, I think it's taking shape, but see what happens over the next month before the first ball in Perth.
Well, there's no doubt that we have a wealth of cricketing talent in Australia. So we're not in trouble by any means, but it's just finding the right guy in the right situation for the right format and have them in form as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's what it's all about. But we've been saying that now for a little while. Like that is the only nervous thing. Like you can throw out all the confidence in the world that we're going to smash England, but if we don't get that right, we put ourselves in trouble straight away, and then we start sort of doing what we've done over the last, say, 12 months, maybe even a little bit more. Where even when Warner was sort of in and out of form in his last sort of few innings, was like, okay, what do we do? Who have we got? Where do we move? We put this guy in, we take that guy out, showing confidence in a young guy, taking him back out. Like it's a really bad and vulnerable place to be in. And that's why I think it's just like, okay, make a decision early, whatever it is, and try and stick with it through the whole series, unless it's an absolute catastrophe and we go down 2-0 in a series or there's no runs there in the opening partnership. But at the same time, that's what we've been doing. I think you've got to just make a call, stick it out, and ride with it.
Just a quick one before we go further. I was just had an article up here. McSweeney, what happened to him? Do you know any, Adam?
Yeah, he big turning point for him last. You got me? Yeah, big turning point for him last year against India. He survived a really tough session against Bumrah in the day-night test pink ball, made 30-odd, then came out, and it was swinging everywhere, came out the next morning and went out straight away. And since then, he's gone a bit downhill. So I think he's out of calculations. Maybe Weatherald from Tasmania, he's probably the best backup, had a stunning season last year. He started off pretty well at Shield level. He might be the next best. And Jason Sanger as well from South Australia could be another option. But I reckon, looking beyond, it's Labuschagne, Costas or Weatherald is another option. There's a couple of other players in the mix as well, but I'll be looking at him over McSweeney.
Okay, boys, let's move on to some T20 against New Zealand, and we'll chat some Big Bash as well. Some main talking points, Jez, out of this T20 series against New Zealand.
Well, it's one guy we haven't talked about at all in this contention for Test cricket opening batsman. Problem we do have is Mitch Marsh. Like, he looked unbeatable in both of the innings. Obviously, the second game got rained out, but he was untouchable, basically, in both of those. So I don't know. Maybe it's going to be interesting to see if he has a great one-day international series and is solid as is he just all of a sudden an absolute curveball to come in and be in contention in the Test squad? Yeah, I don't know, but it could be pretty epic to see. Like I said, I want a guy that's in form, that's putting up runs. Obviously, from a short game to a Test, completely different. But who knows? Mitch Marsh in Perth in his home stadium, opening the Ashes series. That's a pretty nice storyline to run with through the whole summer of the Ashes, wouldn't it? But yeah, that's the biggest talking point, obviously, in that. Like, we showed New Zealand come into that series underdone, few injuries. We were expected to smash them. We got the job done. But wow, Mitch Marsh, I think it was 101 runs in 58 balls, I want to say. So
103 in 52.
Oh, there you go. Even better.
8 4s and 7 6s.
What a beast.
And he got 80 in the first game and 5 6s as well. I'd love to see Mitch. I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe the Bison, he's called the Bison. Maybe we have Bison ball instead of Bazball and get him in opening and just go T20 mode for the Ashes. But the other one too was Glenn Maxwell injury. So he broke his arm bowling to Mitch Owen. Mitch Owen, unbelievable Big Bash last year and hits the ball as hard as anyone in the whole game. So apparently just at training, Maxwell bowling to him and Owen backed it straight back at him and broken forearm. So Maxwell, unbelievable how many different ways he has of getting injured. Not sure what the timeline is for his return, but yeah, that was another big talking point.
You'd love to see the X-ray of that forearm. I wonder if it was a clean break or is it just shattered in small pieces or something there. It could be pretty rough.
Yeah,
worst time of year to get it done.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's standard for Maxwell.
Is there anything else, Adam, you think we take out of this T20 series against New Zealand? We also have a couple of T20 games against India, if I'm not mistaken, coming up as part of that series. Is is this T20 a good representation? This team, are they going to be pretty much a similar team that face India?
Yeah, the only other one was Inglis, injured, calf injury. Alex Carey took his spot but didn't really grab his opportunity. So Inglis was in the test squad, a test team against Sri Lanka earlier this year and made runs, but I think he made 100 but got dropped for a bit unlucky. Got dropped for the West Indies as well. So, but yeah, Carey, you'd have Inglis in the shorter formats, and he's putting a bit of pressure on Carey, but Carey in the test side for now. But interesting sort of what's happening with those two, both good players.
Yeah, I think like I rate Inglis a lot. I followed him sort of over the last few years, and his emergence as I think he even was captaining the T20 side for a period there as well. So when Marsh was injured, I think you're going to see his pathway of being, a leader in this short form game, and then he'll, as sort of the time comes for Carey, he'll just move in. And he's also a guy like that can push, and like if you weren't as the wicketkeeper, you'd be pushing at the top of the order, because he can definitely be a top order batsman. And maybe that's the way that he sort of comes into the team at some stage, just as a batsman, and then he'll end up taking over the wicket-keeping duties as well and shift a little bit further further down the order. So a little bit like Gilchrist-like in that aspect, that he certainly has a lot of runs in him. He can hit quick runs. He can light things up, change in innings, and it could be an important piece to the Test team in a year or two.
Boys, Big Bash as well, another season ahead of us, and we'll be covering every single game at bets.com.au. The three of us, and maybe some more people if we think they're good enough to write
the standard of betting on cricket.
But I think it's fun to follow the Big Bash, because you have a game pretty much every single day. From the first game is on the 14th of December, Perth taking on the Sydney Sixers. A rivalry that's kind of transcended a lot of years, but the ability to kind of follow a team, see how well they are in the batting or the bowling, and then find some angles and find some value in those games, and then try and make that prediction. I think it's really fun because there's so much variance as well, where you can find something. This guy's in form the last two games, or this guy's good at bowling against these types of batters, and there's so many different things you can account for as well and find value in. Adam, when you look ahead to this BBL season coming up, what is it that excites you coming into this season?
I guess some of the team changes. So we've got Ashwin from India. He's retired from India. He's playing for Sydney Thunder. Berendorf, Melbourne Renegades. So I'm a Melbourne Stars fan, but a bit of a pessimist when it comes to Melbourne sides. The Stars and the Renegades have struggled in the Big Bash. Renegades did pinch one against the Stars. It was sort of the battle of the chokers. And last night as well, Melbourne Storm somehow lost the NRL grand final. But interesting to see how Berendorf goes. There's been a few other little switches as well. So Rizwan as well for the Renegades. So it's probably how much of an impact those sort of new players make for their respective sides.
And we're going to have, just checking the schedule.
And also, sorry, there's one more. You guys go, sorry.
I was going to say, we have the schedule, 2 games on Boxing Day. The Sixers up against the Stars and the Scorchers up against the Hurricanes. And then you also have a game on New Year's Eve, Adelaide versus Brisbane, and New Year's Day you have 2 games as well, Renegades versus Sixers and Hurricanes against the Scorchers. So there's
cricket everywhere.
I don't know how good those Boxing Day games are going to rate, considering you have the Boxing Day test on as well. But if you like cricket, you're spoiled for choice here, Adam.
Yeah, and I was going to say the second half of the Big Bash as well. Traditionally, we've had the Aussie, Test players, one-day players on national duties. They're all going to be available for the rest of the series, which hasn't sort of happened over the last few years. So that'll be really, good to have as well. Those really big names involved.
All right, going to give you some quick fire questions, boys, and I want to just get your brief answers. Don't have to be too deep. Jez, I'll go to you first. If Mitch Marsh isn't distracted by Test cricket, does he fight for top batting orders in the BBL 15?
I think so. After just the little glimpse we got in New Zealand, I think he can be an absolute force. I think you take any sort of, like, I don't want him sitting on the fence. If he's not sitting on the fence of maybe coming in, maybe not, and he's just purely focused on T20 cricket, the Perth Scorchers are going to need Mitch Marsh to have a massive year and dominate like he did back in the day. When he was, like the first 11 of Big Bash and won those accolades. I think definitely if he has his full focus on short innings cricket, then 100%.
Okay. Adam, the addition of Jason Berendorf to the Renegades, will it see them make finals?
I'd love to say yes. He's going to be a really handy acquisition because of, he's how he goes in the power play, which is where Renegades have sort of struggled in the past. He's a left armour, great new ball bowler, and brings a bit of leadership. But being the Melbourne pessimist I am, I'm going to say no. He won't help. He'll help them, but they won't make the finals.
They did a bit of it. They had they won the first game against Hobart or something last year, and then they were disgusting until right at the end. They won like 2 or 3 to finish off, right? Yeah. And across town, the Stars, I think they lost their first 4 or 5, and they rallied. They looked like they were going to make it, and they gave us hope and faded at the end. So yeah. On the flip side, Berendorf leaving Perth. Perth have always been that team that performs well. Could this be a year where they have some sort of regression?
Yeah, absolutely. They started to regress even last year. And then I think now Berendorf out doesn't really look like they obviously haven't replaced his, 17 wickets that he got last year. He topped the bowling, like the wicket takers last season. Yeah, I think they're going to struggle. I think they're in big trouble. Even if Mitch Marsh is the going to win or come close to winning top batting honours, you've got to be able to bowl the other team out, and they're going to really struggle to replace Berendorf's wickets, and we might see them in the bottom two. Depends on those shitty Melbourne teams if they can get themselves together for the whole season or not. You just never know.
Adam, Mitch Owen, you spoke about him and his batting prowess breaking Maxwell's arm there. Will he back up his epic season in BBL 14 and possibly top the batting this year?
Pretty hard to back up what he showed last year. I'm going to say probably up there though, top 5. I hope he is. I hope he makes another impact. So I'm going to sort of say a warm yes. So top 5, maybe not the top, but he'll be up there again as well.
And boys, the final one, which I want both of your opinions on, I'll go to you first, Jez. David Warner. How influential will he be for the Thunder this season?
I think extremely influential. Obviously, David Warner seems to thrive in the spotlight, but now he's coming in sort of, I don't know, not under the same amount of pressure, I guess, that he has been in the past. He's now older, a leader. I think he's going to be more settled. I think I expect him to perform really well. He was behind Mitch Owen in the batting honours of best batter or most runs, but not that far behind. And I think he's going to be stable. And I expect another big season from him and another big season from the Thunder.
Adam?
Yeah, he's a competitor. He'll be firing again, and I think the Thunder will be up there. Got a few good signings, so they'll go pretty close.
Boys, there is a truckload of cricket, as we've said. It's already started. Australia beat New Zealand. There is the India one-day and T20 series coming up before we get the Ashes and before we get BBL. So much going on, and you can follow it all at bets.com.au. We'll be doing loads of cricket content here on Ahead of the Game as well. So make sure you subscribe to follow all of that. Any final thoughts, Jez, before we wrap up?
Let's just make sure we sort out our batting and clean sweep the English cricket team. I don't want them to win a test.
Adam, any final thoughts for cricket? Summer of cricket.
I hope that Johnny Bairstow somehow gets a call up and he comes over to Australia and we can have a bit of a laugh at his expense again. That was a big highlight of the last series. England haven't got over it yet, but yeah, bring back Johnny. That'd be good.
Awesome, boys. Thanks again for today. Head over to bets.com.au, as I said, to find all the cricket previews coming up this summer.
And hang with us and stay ahead of the game.